for lack of better words.
Is there a way, if we were to, when you think about things come out in the Federal Register so people can review them beforehand, is that something that we can do? Is it a possibility? Can we put the policies out there and there is a comment period? Obviously there has to be a time frame because we can't leave this open forever. One of the things that we're dealing with policy right now is PSBA said they would have these things to us 5 months ago and we're still waiting. So these would be hanging out there for the public, but we'd have to have a comment period. If that sounds like what you're looking for. You'd want to have things available, public can comment on them, and then we would take those comments under advisement when making the policy. How, as a solicitor, is there a problem with that? And then what is the logistics? I don't want to say we're opening a can of worms because I'm not trying to hide anything, but when you're putting something out there, how does that all work on board docs if you were to start loading up the proposed policies for public comment?
Right. In regard to policies, I don't know how the mechanics, and Linda knows how the mechanics work, but in regard to policies, I mean, you obviously want to have first crack at it, and that's why you review that, you get the recommendations of PSBA, and you want to be able, and I agree with you, you don't necessarily want to put a policy out there until you've had a chance to look at it, because in the past, policies have been released to the public, they look at it and they say, oh my God, you're not going to do that, are you? And then we have a full room of people and you had no intentions of making this change in that policy. That's why my suggestion is that first reading should be something you've reviewed, you've made clarifications, you adopt a first reading. You actually motion and say, yes, we approve first reading, or it goes through first reading. And so you don't do what you do now. And I realize this becomes more cumbersome. We have first and final readings, but now you would have first reading, and maybe that would be at the committee of the whole. First reading, we go through each policy. This is first reading. Any changes, blah blah blah. And then final reading would be at the board meeting between committee of the whole and then the final board meeting. There is that comment period where the members of the public then you post the policy as you've adopted it after first reading. And then the members of the public can comment on that between committee of the whole and your final adoption meeting. It's kind of what you do right now. You review it in policy committee, but actually would just move that up, or maybe you move it back, or I'm not sure how the logistics will work out, but that would be the idea. It's easy for policies, to be honest with you. I don't see any problem with doing it for policies.
And maybe that's something we can I mean, that's something that can certainly be done so that everybody feels like they have, and they do, this is their school district, and they have their input. I'd love to see what we get with the dress code policy, but, cross that bridge when we get to it.
I think that's a good period to start. Kind of start here. Nothing says that we have to stay with this forever. I mean, we look at it 6 months down the road, maybe we want to expand it or something like that. But I think starting something like this might be a good idea.
And people that are on other boards realize that, for example, VOTEC, I think they have 2 readings, or 3 readings, 4 readings. So, I don't think we want to go to that extreme. It becomes cumbersome
I think a lot of
if we do a first reading and an approval with a little gap in there that it's out to the public, what's the harm? But again, policies are easy because there's nothing confidential in a policy. Some of the other, and I guess to follow up on Mr. Aliano's comments in regard to some of the other documents, and the reason we have a policy as it exists today is that not every document that that you would review is easy to review to determine whether or not it's confidential. And so then what that ends up requiring is somebody's got to go through each document that you want to post and determine whether it's confidential or not. And some of that stuff is easy, some of it is not easy. And that's been the problem in the past. Who is going to take the responsibility to review each document that's posted? Is that going to come to my office to do that? Do you want to pay for me to do that? And I think the fallback was, no, we don't want to pay the solicitor to review every document that's going to be posted on the website. And some of that is easy. For example, the personnel report. We don't tend to post a personnel report because A, you haven't hired that person. B, there's other information on there that you may want to discuss in executive session. So we don't post that information. We post it after the fact, but we don't post it before the fact.
Do we indeed, Mr. Senate, when we have somebody hired, we hired Joe Smith at $45,750. Once we hire him, do we post that? I don't think we do.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
We do? It is moved over?
Yeah, the next day, after the next
that's-
day,
okay.
within a couple
I didn't
days.
realize we did that.
So last month when we approved the temporary principal at Grandview, the next day that was put on,
The next day or the next couple days. I
where,
try and do
where would
the
it be
next day.
located?
Yeah,
On the website or in board docs or where?
Board docs, the same
Board docs,
place,
right.
only where you have administrative content and public content, that is moved.
Copy to the public.
So it's in both places, so the public can see it.
Okay.
We also move all of the treasurer's reports, and we also move the financial documents after they're approved by the board.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
Maybe
either. I
we
thought we
should
didn't.
We
disseminate
have-
this information so that the public.
Well, we
It's
have
in-
said it.
Right, but it's after the fact.
It is,
Right.
it is.
Well, what we're proposing now, there's nothing confidential about the budget. Is that correct, Mr. Senator?
After
It-
you've
it's-
had an opportunity to look at it initially, I think that again, you gotta be careful what
No,
you want to put out to the public before you've had an opportunity to review it. Or
I-
before, once a presentation is made by the administration, that would be the budget, I think that you could move forward. But with the caveat that this, obviously, the board hasn't had a chance to look at.
The budget is not confidential.
Oh, no, it's not.
Right.
I
In
agree.
other words, with all the issues that we're going to be discussing this evening on the budget, for instance, the accounts payable, all the issues that we are going to be discussing, there is nothing confidential about the budget. It's taxpayer money. What I believe we are saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is put everything about the budget on the agenda so that the public can review it. Then, if there's any questions from the public, that's what that podium is for, to question us, because we are working for the public. And, where is the transparency? That's my suggestion. Is there any other position that board members hold right now? If other school districts do it, then why are we not doing it? That's my
I think we
position.
do, I think we do.
So, just to clarify with budget, that is, we're required to post that, so it's posted for the public. They can come in and
No.
see it in hard copy, and it's also on the website.
Okay, excuse
So,
me.
it's not in board docs, but it is available for everyone to review.
Okay, excuse me. When I use the term budget, accounts payable, everything that we're going to be reviewing tonight is part of the budget, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. So if we're going to discuss why we spent $25,000 for copies made throughout the district, wouldn't the public want to know why we are spending $25,000 for copies in the district? That's part of the budget. And I apologize if the public, board members, or anyone took that term as the preliminary budget. Yes, that's posted. The budgets are posted. This makes up the budget. That's transparency from us, district, to the public. And that's what I'm saying. If other districts do it, why are we not doing it? Thank you.
Are we doing something wrong?
I'm not sure that other districts post every item that's contained in the budget that makes up the budget. I mean, in order to post that, that would take a lot of work and effort, and I'm not sure. Again, that's a board decision as to what information you think is appropriate for determination that's in the budget. I mean, we post the budget, we post the preliminary budget